Happy Monday. Welcome, welcome. Let me just get a few things set up here. We are going to stay that way. Okay. Um, I hope that everyone, depending on where you are in the world, that you are warm because it's -5 degrees here in Colorado. And thankfully, I don't really have to go outside, but my dogs are not loving it. I will tell you that. And so I hope you're staying warm wherever you are. I am so excited for today's transformation challenge. We're doing this over the next 3 days. And the reason that I wanted to create this challenge is a little bit different of content than what I normally do. Normally, I'm helping retailers market their stores using social media. We talk a lot about digital marketing. And I have just been really pulled to help on deeper levels, to help really make significant impact in your business and maybe even your life. And there's a few different things that we're doing that through here at Crystal Media. And so this challenge is one of those things. And so I am very excited. Let me go ahead and share my screen so I can get my slides open here. And then we'll make sure all of our tech is working. Let's just do slideshow. And let me get everybody back here so I can see you all, because I love being able to see you as much as I can on my screen. And then finally, let me get my chat. And all right, I think from a tech perspective, I'm good on my end. Everybody can hear me and see me. Thumbs up. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, let's get this party started. I think most of you know I am Crystal Vilkaitis. I am the CEO and owner of Crystal Media. And I have been in the social media industry since 2008 for a very long time, back when a lot of people thought social media was a fad and it was going to be going away. And I just knew there was something to this and just really felt like this is our future. And so ever since, I have been using these tools hands-on. We've been teaching. I built a team that is now doing some of the social media and the ads and managing listings for our retailers. I started Crystal Media in 2012. We primarily work with independent retailers whose goal is to drive foot traffic and sales. But we also have some great content for small businesses if you're not a retailer. And so this, especially this transformational challenge over the next 3 days, could be really great for the business owner. You don't necessarily have to be that retailer. I'm the host and producer of the show Rooted in Retail. I hope that if you are a retailer that you are listening to this show or watching the show. We have been getting incredible feedback. Retailers are just loving the show. I was just at the Dallas Market Center last week, and Allison Dodson, a very successful retailer, pulled me aside and just said, "Hey, thanks for doing Rooted in Retail. It's really nice to have a resource because we don't have a lot of resources out there." So this resource is for you. I hope that you subscribe and listen. And I am a speaker. I go all over the country and world teaching social media. And I really believe in cultivating a growth mindset. This is all about thinking bigger, not holding ourselves back. Instead of, if you hear something that I say and you might think, oh, I've done that before and that didn't work. Instead, I want you to think, how could it work for me? What could I be doing differently? Ask different questions. If you see an example from a totally different industry and you're like, oh, they're not like my business, there's no way that could work for me. Again, ask, how could this work for me? When I talk about technology and tools, which we'll talk more about on day 3 of the transformation, sometimes that feels uncomfortable and scary. And so instead, ask those questions of, what do I need to know? What can I do right now? Instead of immediately being like, oh, this doesn't apply to me, or we try to not listen sometimes when we're learning new things, especially if it feels scary. So I really want you to cultivate that growth mindset, be open to learning and seeing challenges as opportunities. And that's where a lot of the transformation can come into play. I really want you to focus on progress over perfection. This is really about learning, taking that next step. We learn through action. And I'm going to give you a lot of steps today that will help you kind of get clearer and closer to some of the challenges that you might be having right now in your business, whether it is growing your business or marketing or team, or even how you're spending your time within your business. So, a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about on day one. This is all about clarity and vision. We don't know where we're going if we have no idea where we want to go, and if we haven't actually taken that time to create the vision and get really clear on where we want to go. And this is where I'm really excited. We're doing this in January. I love the beginning of the year. It just feels like there's so much opportunity and momentum. And if you feel like you need to hit that reset button, you can. Otherwise, if you're just like on this path, it's like, okay, how can we just get more out of this year and get really clear? So that's what we're going to do today. Then day two is all about action and momentum. How do we take what we have from day one on getting really clear, and how do we set ourselves up for success to ensure that we're actually taking the steps to get it done and actually see the momentum, feel like it's working, feel like we're getting closer and closer to those goals. And then day three is all about growth and visibility. Day three is going to be where we're talking more about the marketing, digital marketing, social media aspect of this training. And so if you love that type of content from me, stay tuned for day three. But day one and two are going to be a little bit different, which I'm very excited about. So let's dive in. Also, all these graphics, I just want to point out, I created using AI. I love AI. They're super fun. I especially love this one with the glasses. I love how the sun is coming through each of these. So, all right, we're going to talk about AI on day three. Now, for day one, we're going to talk about what's worked for me. So, like I said, we work with independent retailers, but this challenge is for small business owners. And even though I'm not a retailer, I myself am a small business, and I've had my business for 11 years, and it hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies and happy times. Like, it's challenging to be a small business owner. And I have hit some walls, and I've had some barriers, and I've had some hard times, and I've done the work to get me to where I am now. And I'm grateful that I have a profitable business, that we're growing, that I've built an incredible team. And I've just never felt more connected to my business, more inspired by what we're doing, and have never felt so much momentum before. And I'm here because of the things that I went through and the things that I found that works best for me to get me through some of those challenging times to make me a better business owner. And so I wanted to share those with you. And I just want to say up front, these are things that worked for me. So I am obviously not a therapist. I'm not, some could call me a business coach, but it's not like I'm a licensed business coach or consultant. These are just things that I've done a lot of work. I've tried a lot of things, and they've worked really well for me. And so I'll share those with you today. We're going to talk about the power of the word of the year. Chat in. Do you do word of the year? Yes or no? I'm a big, yeah, Allison, shake your head. Yeah, I'm a big word of the year person. So we'll talk about that and the power of doing that. And then also we'll talk about your SMART goals, actually writing these down, getting very clear. And then we're going to use those SMART goals tomorrow in our action and momentum. Alex, no, but maybe I should. Well, we'll see, Alex, after this, the challenge today. And then we're going to talk about business and life purpose. I found an incredible resource that's been really powerful for me on getting really clear on your life purpose. And I wanted to share it in this transformation challenge today. So let's talk about the things that have worked for me. I stopped hitting snooze, and I started getting up at the same time every day. And I have heard so many motivational speakers, and so I've been to so many conferences. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've been on webinars. Like, I love information. I love learning. And you always hear people who say, like, get up at 5 a.m. and be consistent, all the things, right? And I got really tired of hearing all that. I was like, I want to do things my way, and that can't necessarily work for everybody. And I was kind of resisting it. And then I heard Mel Robbins talk about what happens to us when we hit the snooze button. Because when we actually wake up, but then we go back to sleep, there's scientific data that shows that we're actually more tired and have less energy throughout the day when we're hitting the snooze button. So I started to test it, and I started to find that I wasn't crashing as much. I had more energy just by not hitting the snooze button. Then I heard another speaker talk about if we hit snooze, and let's say you snooze for 10 minutes every day, which sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 20, like let's just use 10 minutes a day. And let's say that you set your alarm 6 days a week. That is an hour a week that we are just snoozing away, that you're not getting quality sleep from, that it's actually not setting you up for success that day. And that over time, that's 52 hours in an entire year. And so when we start adding that time together and what we could do with that time, there's so much that we could do with just 10 minutes. I needed to prep for a call this morning. I do all my best work in the morning, which we'll talk about. I needed to prep for a call. It took me under 10 minutes to get the outline of the 6 emails that we should be doing with our partners, where it kind of felt like this bigger thing. Oh, I got to do this bigger thing. But I just sat down, under 10 minutes, boom, it's done. So the power of 10 minutes can really add up. So this was a huge one for me. And Alex says, love Mel stuff. I do too, Alex. I move my body almost daily. And this was another thing that I like hated hearing people say, but then I just started committing to it. And you know what? It works. I could totally tell the difference in my mind, in my body, in my energy if I don't do any kind of exercise. And so even here, it's -5 degrees. Like for me, I just love getting out and walking. I'm not here to be like your physical trainer or anything like that. That is not my lane. But just moving my body and walking, I love that. It's almost like therapy for me. But it's cold here, so I'm obviously not doing that in the winter time. So I still factor in, I did my arms this morning. I walk in our basement. I try to find ways to get it done. It really helps set me and my mind up for success. I also journal every morning, and this has been an ongoing thing for me for years. And I just feel like my journaling practice over time has gotten better and better and better. Just like anything, the more that you're doing things, the more that you can challenge yourself, the more you might ask different questions, the more that I journal, ideas they'll build. Like I'll have an idea in the morning from a journal session, and then next week I build on that, and then the next day, and just things can really grow and build from that. And so some of the things that are kind of like my prompts when I'm journaling is I try to tap into what it is that I really want. I think that we could get caught up, at least I can get caught up in seeing what everybody else is doing and think, oh, I want that. That looks amazing. But then it's really like, is that what I want? Like, let's get really clear on what I want to achieve. And sometimes that takes me like closing my eyes and almost meditating to really tap into what that feels like, what that looks like. And so I'll journal about that. Goal setting. So, again, we all have these goals that we want to achieve. And sometimes I think that we're not always clear as to why. Again, it could be because a mentor told us you should be doing that, or you're comparing yourself to someone else, or you think you should be at a certain place. So using the asking why 3 times has been really powerful for me. So for example, I was feeling really pulled to do a retreat, something that was different than what we've done, like something more intimate with business owners in a new setting, in a house that we really got to spend some quality time together. And I've been seeing people do the retreat. So I'm asking myself, like, is this something I want, or is this something somebody else wants? So I asked the question, well, why do you want to do the retreat? And it's like, well, I'm just really feeling pulled to do this and connect deeper. Okay. Why? Well, because I've been in those settings and it's been really powerful for my business. And I just want to help our retailers more. I love that we help them with social media, but I want to know more of their challenges, and I want to try to dig deeper and help them even more because I love business. Okay. Why? Because that's where this magic comes from, right? Like, and have that connection and doing something that's just more, I was just craving something more meaningful on helping. And so at the end of all of that, it's like, oh, okay, this is definitely something that I want to do. I got really clear on the why. You can use that in all sorts of things. I help my grandma with this. Like she's trying to declutter. And so I'll be like, okay, grandma, here's this thing. Why do you want to keep it? And she's like, well, so-and-so gave it to me. And I'm like, okay. And so why does that matter that they gave it to you? Why do you got to keep it? And she'll get to, well, we had this really nice memory. It was for my 60th birthday. And so I just really don't want to get rid of it. Okay, why? And then she's like, I guess I don't know. I guess I could get rid of it. All of a sudden, she starts asking some different questions. And she's like, I feel like somebody would really use this. I'm not even using it. It's just sitting in this box. And I'm like, okay, why do you want to do that? And then all of a sudden, it just becomes a lot easier for her to get that clarity on if this is something we're keeping or getting rid of. So I love the asking why 3 times. Then, how can we best serve our retailers? This is a great journal question. So, for you, no matter what kind of people that you serve, how can I best show up for my customers or my clients? That's just open ended. Let yourself just brainstorm. You could think of big things. What if you created an entirely new social media platform for them that they could connect on, and you had this app or a big conference, or it could be even something so small that I just keep hearing my customers say this one thing over and over again. We really got to solve that problem for them now. Really explore those ways of how you can best serve. Then if I hear somebody ask a question on a podcast I listen to, or I have an idea for something, a new offering, new, messaging, things like that, I'll put an alarm on my phone for the time that I get up. So that's usually a 5:30. I'll put in the question or the idea. And then when that alarm goes off, that's my journal prompt. Because what ends up happening is like stuff comes at us all throughout the day. And we'll think like, ooh, that's a good question. I'll think about that. Or I'll journal about that tomorrow. Or I'll journal about that tonight or whatever. Then the day happens and you just completely forget. So that's why I just added on to my alarm. So I know, I remember. And then that's one of the first things I'll do. I'll get my coffee and then I sit down and I'll tackle that idea or that question. Then if my team needs something from me, especially if it's creative, I do that first thing in the morning. I never check my emails first thing. I'm up for a solid 2 hours before I'm even in my emails. I heard this from Brendan Burchard many years ago, where he was like, our emails are other people's agenda. It's not our own agenda. And so why would we spend the first part of our day dealing with everybody else's agenda? We really got to focus on our own things. And so for me, I'm really creative in the morning. I haven't jumped into all the problems of the day. I'm not fatigued yet because it's the fresh start to the day. So that's when I'll jump in. And if I have to do any kind of copywriting or come up with a title for a webinar or come up with some new training, I do that. And again, like I open this talk, 10 minutes. I mean, I'll spend, could be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but boom, it is done. And it's a thing that feels like this is going to take me hours. Often the hardest part is just getting started. And so you get started, you make the time for it, you dive in, and you do it right in the morning. And then also gratitudes, journaling about what you're grateful for. You hear a lot of people talk about this. This works really well for me. When we get into a state of gratitude, it changes our physiology, it changes our mindset. I think that it helps us think differently, more expansively. And so just writing those things, even if you're writing one thing you're grateful for to kick off your journaling practice, it's a really great way to start the day. And then ideas and the vision builds over time, like I said. So I might journal on something today, and then I think about it throughout the day. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, so I want to build off of that. So that was a really good piece. That one I don't really want to do. Okay, let me ask why. And over time, I can create something really powerful, really strategic, really clear that makes so much sense for our customers and the business because I've just given it a few days or even a week or two to kind of build upon itself. And so that's where journaling has just been really powerful for me. And I just want to say some days I write 2 sentences. You're just like, I don't know what to say today. I'm not feeling the ideas. They're not pouring into me. I can write my gratitudes. I might kind of recap the day yesterday or like how I want to show up today. And then that's it. And then that might just be it. You're not on every single day. You're not feeling the creativity every single day. So then I started asking better questions. And here are some of those better questions for me. I mean, if you're ever like midday and you're just having such a hard, overwhelming day, I'm sure I'm not the only person that has dealt with this. I stop and I'm like, okay, is this really that important? Like, am I stressing out about something that really isn't that important? Like, let's just take a step back, analyze, look at this from like almost an out of body experience. Is it that important? Could I be hungry? Can I be tired? Am I thirsty? Have I had too much caffeine? Like when I have too much caffeine, I get really anxious. And then that anxiety can make me feel overwhelmed with my to-do list. And there's too much. And oh my gosh, I'm never going to make it. And all like I'm freaking out. And it's like, okay, hold on. What's the real problem here? And as simple and basic as this sounds, there have been so many times where I've been able to prevent myself from that overwhelm knocking me down throughout the day or taking over my day. I'm able to be a lot more productive when I can just stop and ask these questions, really check in with my mind, body, spirit, see what matters. And this is, kind of a big question. If I were to die a year from today, what really matters? But when you're struggling with perspective and really, again, that vision, where do I really need to spend my time? What really matters here in my life, in my business? This question helps you get so clear. And another question I didn't put on this, but I feel like I should talk about it right now. It just came up when I was at the Dallas Market Center this weekend. I filmed a live podcast interview and I had some people in the audience. And afterwards, one woman came up and asked my guest a question. And her question was, I'm really thinking about retiring. Yeah, I'm kind of tired, but I just don't know if this is the right time. And so, and she asked my guest, and I was standing there too. And I'm like, I've got a quick question for you to journal about, to really think about. If somebody came to you and said, all of a sudden, what you do for a living is illegal, you cannot do this anymore. You will be sent to jail. You have to stop running your store. How do you feel? And I was just saying that rhetorical, like, you don't have to necessarily answer this right now, like go journal. And immediately she'd be like, I would be so sad. And I'm like, okay, so that's kind of telling. Maybe I would explore that more. What are you sad about? What would you miss? Let's get really clear on the aspects of the store. And there might be something there that it's not about being tired and wanting to retire. It's just about the change. Something's maybe off. Maybe you're not in alignment. You're missing something. So that's also a really good question to give you some perspective on your business as well. I also like to stop and be like, okay, am I having fun? Because for several years, I got caught up in doing daunting tasks. My mindset was more negative. I was struggling and I wasn't finding anything fun. I was finding it frustrating and overwhelming. And that kind of energy bringing into your business is just, it's taxing. It creates burnout. It's awful. And so I got some therapy, which is another big thing that I did for myself, and healed some things and uncovered some things. And I just realized I don't want to be so serious all the time. Like, I want to have fun in my business. This is my business. I get to decide what we're doing and how we're doing it. And that means that I want to have fun. And so I like to check in with myself and be like, okay, how can this be more fun? And sometimes it's a matter of me just putting on an awesome playlist. Like sometimes I'm a big music person. And so I always have to have music on. And so I might have like a snowy day playlist that's really soft and beautiful for journaling. But when I'm getting down to it and need to do some some building out systems or creating content, I might need something more high energy. Like, let's have more fun. And I need to change that playlist. So sometimes it could be as easy as that. Or sometimes, for example, I have a show called Crystal Uncorked. And last week, I think it was last week or the week before, I announced I'm concluding the show. I did 100 episodes. And for a while, that show was a lot of fun. And then that show started not feeling fun. It was, it was daunting. I almost felt annoyed. And that show was always kind of a passion project for me. And so I was like, going into this has to be fun. And if it's not, I got to try to make it fun. And I got to a point for several different reasons that it just didn't work anymore. And I had to give myself that permission to stop doing that. Why do I feel this way? Like asking those questions. Sometimes I think we just get caught up in how we're feeling and we're like, well, this is just how it is. Instead of just getting clear, like, why do I really feel like this? Let's just take a second to tap in. Can I solve this real quick? Where is this coming from? Ask better questions. And then this one, you guys, has been such a big one for me. Is today just not the day to fill in the blank? So again, I create a lot of content. I'm a speaker. I have to create a lot of slides. I customize the slides for where I'm speaking. And so that takes creativity. And there will be times when I sit down and I am just not. It's maybe I slept terribly. Maybe I've been traveling a lot. So I'm like just a little bit of jet lag. Maybe it's that time of the month. Maybe there's certain things that are just going on that I am just not creative right now. I have to give myself that permission. I think that we try to push through things, especially as women, which I'm seeing all women on the camera here. So I think we could resonate to this. If any men are listening in, maybe you deal with some of this. I'm sure you deal with some of this, but it's like we'll push ourselves and then we feel mad at ourselves or guilty that we're not doing all the things we should do. What's wrong with me? Oh, you're a loser. Oh, you're never going to make it. Oh, you're failing. Oh, then we'll compare ourselves to other people. Look how great she's doing all the time. And it's just ridiculous. There are times when I'm just not going to be able to create my best content. So, and this has taken me a lot of work. So I'll be like, okay, today is truly not the day. If I try to put in the music, try to do the thing, it's not working for me. Today's not the day. I'm going to focus on something else. And sometimes that is me focusing on watching a Netflix show. Like my brain needs a break. We have to have the breaks. Michelle Smith, one of our retailers, she said, you have to have the break to have the breakthrough. Like we have to give ourselves these breaks, but we push. And then that creates I want to say breakdown, but burnout, like that's just the opposite of what we're trying to do. So now, and here's what happens every single time, you guys. I'm like, okay, today is not the day. I give myself that permission. I have to coach myself still. Like I'm working on this. I have to coach myself. You're gonna show up tomorrow. Trust, you won't let yourself down. You're gonna get it done. Trust yourself. You need this break. Take the break. And then the next day, I feel a million times better. I feel creative. I feel excited. And that is the time to do those things. So you have to have some grace and give yourself those breaks and allow for what your mind, body, spirit needs. Just allow for that. That's been one of the biggest things that's worked for me. I also said yes. I said yes to so many things last year in 2023. It was a lot of speaking gigs. It was partner meetings. I invested in things. We grew our team. I just said yes to so many things. And how this worked for me is by saying yes, I got clarity on what I do and don't want, where I should and shouldn't be, where I see things going, who I want to be working with. Because when we're doing the thing, we step into action. That's what creates the clarity. So many people will sit back and I hear this on a lot of podcasts. A lot of people ask questions on podcasts and webinars, and they're like, how do I find my purpose? And time again, people are just sitting back, waiting for it to show up for them. They'll go to the podcasts, they'll listen to the webinars, they'll get the coaching, they'll be in mastermind meetings. I've met so many people like this, and I've been there myself. And you're just waiting for the purpose to fall on your lap. And I truly feel like some of us don't have a focused purpose. Sometimes our purpose is just to be here and believe in other people, or to cheer them on, or to be a really great friend to somebody. There's so many different things and aspects to being human. And so, but the thing is that we can't sit back and just wait and we're doing a lot of learning and asking questions. We got to get out there and just try stuff. Try to figure it out. Say yes. It gives you so much clarity. Now, one thing I want to say is that when you say yes to something, you're often saying no to something else. And so I do think that there is power in saying no as well, because when you are clear, you're focused. And if you're like, I know where I'm going, I've got my vision, I've got my goals, I know what I want to achieve, and something comes in that could be a distraction, it's easier to say no to that because you know where you're going. But if you don't really know where you're going and you're just trying to figure some things out, saying yes is really going to help you get there. And then I set clear intentions of what do I want to get out of this? This is a big one for any meeting I go into, any speaking gig I have, any new product that we're launching, service we're launching. What's the best case scenario? What do I want to get out of this? Get really clear. And what I love, because this happens often, is things will happen that you couldn't have even imagined. So it's nice going into it being like, this is what I would love to see, but I'm open to allowing it to go wherever it needs to go. And then when you have some of those intentions, I think that it can help you ask the better question, show up differently to really move into that so you achieve what you're really trying to achieve from that meeting or that thing that you're trying to do or launch. And then something that's helped me so much is focusing on my future self. So I think about, like, I'll look at my to-do list and I'm like, again, there's those days where it's just like, I just can't do it today. Why is it? Okay, I need the break. But then there's other days where I'm just resisting it. I'm just resisting it because the hardest part is getting started. And so I just think about Crystal tomorrow. And when she wakes up and does her journaling in the morning, how do I want her to feel? And I want her to feel like, holy shit, you got it done. You did the things that you said you were going to do. You totally set me up for success. Thank you for getting all those things done, because now I can work on more. Like, I could start building more of that momentum. I want to make my tomorrow self proud. I want to support her the best that I can. And so that has really helped me show up and really get things done. And then you do something. Getting started is the hardest part. You do something, you're like, okay, next. That wasn't as hard. Next. And you just keep going. I've never felt more productive in my life. And again, like, these are things that I can speak to because I've been able to kind of break through what I was going through. And I've created such great systems for myself. And my business, me, I've seen so much of a transformation through doing these things. Another big thing that I did is I invested in myself significantly. Over the past year, I've invested over $100,000 in myself on masterminds and coaching and connection. And that has felt exciting. It's felt uncomfortable. It's felt, the unknown is scary. And I just know I saw this in myself when I invested in a mastermind, and it was the most money I ever invested. I showed up significantly different. When we bet on ourselves, when we put money on ourselves, we are showing ourselves that we believe in ourselves, because we're putting skin in the game, right? We got skin in the game, we're betting on ourselves, and we show up differently. And what I learned is I show up significantly different when I invest in myself. And especially I feel like you also have to invest in the right groups or in the right program or in the right training. And sometimes you don't know that until you're in it, because I will say I've been in several masterminds, I've gone to several conferences, and I'm like, oh, I just don't know if that was right for me, but you have to say yes, you have to show up. You've got to see what do I need? What do I need in this moment, and get something from that. I significantly invested in myself. I showed up differently, and I'm really grateful for that, because as a business owner, we don't have a boss telling us what to do, right? We do have pressures of, we need to make money. We've got to hit targets. We have teams, so we've got their livelihoods that we're thinking about. We have so much that we're trying to achieve, and that can be a lot of pressure. And what I found is when I'm investing in myself, it's a good, healthy kind of pressure. It's a good, like, motivation to really have me show up differently in my business. So those have been the things, as I recap and I look back and my transformation, those have been massive things for me. Now, the word of the year is this thing, the beginning of the year where you pick one word that you're going to be kind of like, that's your focus for the year. And this could be for your business. This could be personally. If you imagine that it's a year from now, it's January 14th, 2025. How do you want to feel? What did you accomplish? What needed to happen for you to accomplish those things? And then what is that one word that could describe that and summarize that? And so for me, last year, my word was content. I knew that I really needed to grow my personal brand. I needed to get out there more. And for me, getting out there, it was content. So I was on 18 different stages. That's all content for PowerPoints. I had my own conference for the first time. That's content. I launched a brand new podcast. That's content. I was a guest on other people's podcasts. That was content. Like, so much of my personal focus was content. And my team knew that. My team supported me in it. And that was one thing that really helped our business show up bigger and create a lot of business last year and a lot of momentum. And then this year, my word is leverage. We're in this place where, because I showed up so much last year, we have more stages, we have more awareness. So I'm like, I want to leverage that. The people that I connected with, our partners, how do we really leverage the partnership? Our show, how are we leveraging things so you're not working so hard, right? Like the things that are already created, we have such a strong foundation. How do we turn up the volume on those things and really leverage? And so everything that I'm doing now, I'm looking through that lens. So something I really recommend anybody who's on this call live or catching the replay is that you take the time to really think about your word. Like, really think about it. And you might try it on for size, just see how that feels for a couple of days. But, and look, you can always change your word, but here's the thing that I think is really important is that you set moments in your calendar or your to-do list throughout the year that reminds you of the word. Because sometimes what happens is we have all the best intentions in January and we set our word, and then March comes, and then April and May and June, and you're like, I don't even remember what my word was. Like, that has happened to me. Don't even remember what my word is. So you have to set things in place. You need to be talking about it. I was talking about it with my team. It was something that I continuously was remembering in 2023 to really focus on that. So we got to focus there. And then we've got to set these SMART goals. Now, if you've been through my training before, you've heard me say this so many times because it works, because it's powerful. And it's just something I think as small business owners, we will sometimes just not take the time to create these and then check in on them. So our SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed. And the timed is a big piece here where we're actually setting a expiration. Like, when are we going to get this done by? And then we're putting that deadline on our calendar. And then we reverse engineer. And that's what we're going to do tomorrow, is how we take these SMART goals and turn them into actionable steps. But we have to first have the SMART goals. So an example of this: increase profit by 15% by the end of the year. That is specific. That is measurable, as long as we're keeping track of our sales, which we all should be. And here's the deal: this is all about profits. We're keeping track of our revenue, our expenses. Now, achievable. Well, this is where we should be looking at the data and look year over year. This is a big project that I did, and I noticed that typically every year we are growing our profit by 17%. So it's like, okay, if I'm seeing this data and I'm seeing that trend, then this 15% is very achievable. But let's say that over the past several years, I didn't even turn a profit. I'm growing it by 1 or 2%, and now I'm wanting to go to 15. So you got to ask those questions. You got to look at the data, make sure that it is something that's achievable, because I do want you to set yourself up for success. My mentor, Patricia, talks about having a tippy toe goal where you're on your tippy toes, like you're trying to reach. It's going to push you. You're going to reach, but you could still hit it. You can still touch that goal. And then by the end of the year, this is definitely relevant to the business. For the R and T, this is timed. Okay, let's say that your goal was to open 2 new store locations. Well, in this case, we want to make sure, is this achievable? We want to have a time? Is this by the end of the year? Is this by summertime? And then just a great resource for you is on Rooted in Retail. I interviewed the owner of Two Bostons who has 7 store locations, and she really broke it down on how to open new locations. Really great episode if this is one of your SMART goals. Or maybe you want to take a 2-week vacation this year. Maybe you want to take a longer than 2-week vacation. Maybe you want to take a couple of 2 weeks vacation where you can be really unplugged for your business. Another great episode. I interviewed Anna with Pilar, which is a 2-store boutique here in Colorado, Northern Colorado, my favorite, where I buy everything. I love Anna. She's going to be at our conference Evolve this year with her husband. And she talked about how she took over a month off in her business through systems and training her team. So that's a really great resource for you. But get specific on this. Like, when are you taking that vacation? Where are you going? And just make sure that it's smart. Maybe it's to have more fun. So maybe that's a broad goal. How can we make it more specific? Right? How can we get really smart with that? And baby steps, little steps here can really achieve big results for you. So we want to make sure that we have these SMART goals. Maybe it's also doing a new service offering, taking on a new product line. I do have an episode that's coming out about this. I think because we added some episodes, it's going to be episode, I think 53, not 51, but the end of this month, Jacqueline, the product boss, is going to come on this show, Rooted in Retail. She's going to talk about adding your own product line. And if you are a retailer, or even if you're in the service industry, depending on what you do, that could be a really great channel for you to grow your business and to have more revenue streams. And so depending on those SMART goals, that might be one of them. Make sure that you're creating it and make it smart. So I challenge you, in addition to your word of the year, to make some time after this call, ideally before tomorrow, because we're going to go into reverse engineering our SMART goals tomorrow. Create 1 to 3 SMART goals that you want to focus on sometime this year. It could be the next month, 3 months, 6 months, year. And then the final piece of this is, and look, guys, I probably should have said this in the beginning, to create transformation is a process. We have a 3-day transformation challenge. I truly believe that you could take one thing from the next 3 days and transform your business. I truly believe that. But it's a matter of showing up, and it's a matter of picking that one thing and sticking to it. We just talked about a lot of different things. Pick something that works really well for you and stick to that. And if there is something that you're doing right now that you kind of have as your routine, or that's really created great transformation for you over the past year or two, I would love to know. You can chat it in here, or you can DM me on Instagram. I'd love for us to exchange those things. Now, this final piece is a little bit bigger. It's about your life purpose. And you can also connect this to your business. And so that's a big conversation. And I recently found this really great article called Use Strategic Thinking to Create the Life You Want. Now, we'll send out the link to this with the replay. You can also scan this QR code and go to that article. And I really recommend that you save the link, because you're going to need to come back to this article a few times. What this article is about is this is from the Harvard Business Review, and these business consultants who work with Fortune 50 companies asked this question: could we adapt the model for strategic thinking that we use with institutional clients to help individuals design better futures for themselves? And I found this article to be so helpful, so easy to do. They focus on 7 questions that I'll show you in a second. But basically, to go through this article and do the exercise, it took me about an hour and a half. They say it takes about 2.5 hours. So I really want to encourage you to schedule some time this week. Ideally, we're getting this done this week, to go through this exercise. And really, it's like, their whole thing is, if we don't have a life strategy, it's the equivalent to running a business without a strategy. And I would bet that most of us don't have a life strategy. we just kind of do life. Whatever is thrown our way, we wake up. What am I dealing with today? There's so many unknowns. There's so many things that happen throughout the day that are out of our control. So we just do life. And I think all of us kind of have an idea of something we'd like to achieve or a place we want to go, but we're not really clear on how we're spending our time. We're not really clear on the things that matter the most to us. And we're often out of balance spending our time on the things that aren't that important to us, spending most of our time on the things that are not important to us. There's often these big gaps where we're not spending time on the things that mean the most to us. And that's really what this article helps you do. So they look at these 7 questions. These are the 7 business questions that they would ask, and then they just tweaked them for individuals. So, and here's the thing, you can ask these organizational questions for your business strategy and then use the individual one for your life strategy. So for the life strategy down the center here, they asked, how do I define a great life? What is my life purpose? What is my life vision? How do I assess my life portfolio? What can I learn from benchmarks? What portfolio choices can I make? And how can I ensure a successful, sustained life change? And so this is about clarity, what you want, how measurement, actual measurement, which we often won't take the time for to set those benchmarks in place. What are we measuring? Creating a portfolio, just like how a business can have a portfolio of all their assets and all their revenue streams and their offerings and how they support clients, that they have this full portfolio. What does your life portfolio look like? So those are the 7 questions they go through and help you answer in this article. One of my favorite questions that helped give me some clarity was, what newspaper headline about our company would we like to read a decade from now? So that is a business strategy question. What's the headline? A decade. Thinking 10 years from now. This is all about, what are people reading in the newspaper? Now, they also have you ask this for your life. What are people reading about me? So you're asking yourself, what story would I like people to tell about me 5 years or 10 years from now? What would I do if money wasn't an issue? Like, clear that out of the way, okay? Because sometimes that can make us think too small. There's no blocks. We could do whatever it is. What is that thing? And what will the 80-year-old me not want to have missed in life? And these things can help you create that headline. And for me, I was just like journaling. I was writing some stuff and writing some stuff. And this is where you kind of get like, you fine tune. And mine, what I got to was, I want to be the woman behind the women that collectively make over $1 billion annually. Like, I love supporting business women. We do that so much with our retailers. We're helping them grow their stores and make more money. And I just loved kind of that headline, and I saw a visual out of it. And so now I'm taking that headline and I'm thinking about that every day. Is that the headline? And how am I doing that? And if that's my core of what I'm really feeling, then what are the steps that I'm doing to make sure that I am living my headline? So that headline helps give you the vision, which gives you the focus. Those 7 questions gives you the vision, which gives you the focus. So we have to have vision in order to get the focus. Now, another part of this article is they look at you've got your strategic life areas. There's 6 different areas: relationship, mind, body, spirit, community and society, job, learning and finance, entertainment and interests, and personal care. So within those 6 strategic areas, they call these strategic life units, and there's 16 life units. What they do is they have you go through the 16 life units and rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. What's most important to you? And so significant other might be a 10. Family might be 10. Friendship might be 10. For me, like, those are really big for me. Family, friends are just really big for me. You go through physical health, mental health, spiritual. We rate them 0 to 1 or 0 to 1, 0 to 10. How important are these things to me? Then you go through, and we all have 168 hours in a week, which for me, when I sat there and thought about 168 hours a week, That feels like I could get a lot done. Like when you look at a bigger picture, I felt that was very expansive. And what I love about this exercise is it has you rate, okay, these 16 life units. How many hours a week are you spending on them? And it's got that total has to equal 168. So if I then measure, well, how much time am I spending with my significant other, Dustin, and my family and my friends? And my family, I purposely moved home to Colorado to be closer to my grandma and dad. I'm not spending that much time with them. I'm working so much. I'm spending so much time in other areas. So when I saw, man, importance is a 10, but how many hours a week I'm spending with them was maybe 1 to 2 hours a week, then I'm out of balance there. Right. And so you do this for all 16 units, and it gives you a really clear, then you put them together. Okay, where my importance of 10, how many hours am I spending? Where's my importance of 0? How many hours am I spending? And often, like I said earlier, we are out of balance, but we just don't take the time. You guys, this took me 90 minutes to do. 90 minutes to change my life, to change how I spend my time. 90 minutes. We all have 90 minutes to do this. Again, the article says it will take 2.5 hours. So give yourself 2.5 hours. But you have the time to do this. It's so important. This is how we create transformation. So we sit down, we ask good questions, better questions, and we do the work. Now, I found this very interesting from this study. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School and UCLA's Anderson School of Management found that people are happiest when they have 2 to 5 hours of freedom or free time a day. 2 to 5 hours of free time. So if you're listening to the replay, if you're here with me live, how does that feel? Do you have 2 to 5 hours of free time every day? And, for me, I do, thankfully. I've carved out that morning. That's free time for me. I can use that however I want. And I've got some really good free time in the evening as well. And I like to take a little bit of a longer lunch to just kind of give myself some of that time. But I immediately thought of my friends who have kids. They're going to have less free time than me. I don't have kids. So they've got, I have a friend who owns an insurance agency here in Colorado who's got 4 children. And she just started her own brand. Like, I'm so proud of her juggling everything that she does. And she still finds time to do the things that fill her up. And she would probably, if she was here, I'm speaking for her in a way, she would probably say, I wish I had a little more time. I know that she probably does, but 2 to 5. So this is where I love this exercise. When we're looking at 168 hours in a week, how are we truly spending our time? It's about getting really honest with yourself. How are you really spending the time? And then you use that information. What we do with it is we define broad objectives and the date. Okay, what do I want to achieve from this information by when? You break down each objective into key results and action items. And I'll show you some of this on how I used it. And then you're going to add it to your calendar. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't exist. So we got to make sure that we have some accountability in here that I'm going to do this by this day to help me be more balanced with my time and live into that purpose. You got to start small and anchor them by telling someone. We are more likely to do something simply by telling somebody that that's what we're trying to achieve. You could tell a friend, you could tell your partner, you could share it on social media to the world. You could tell me in a DM, whatever you need to do, anchor it by telling somebody. And then schedule in 15 minutes a week to review and update the life strategy. Review those 7 questions and your answers, review how you're spending your time that week. 15 minutes, that's it, to create serious transformation. So some of my reflections, I want to take time from scrolling on social. So one of my guilty pleasures is I love scrolling on TikTok. Yes, Alex, do you hear me on that one? I saw that response. Okay, amen. So I do, it's my form of entertainment. I watch a lot less TV now because I am scrolling on TikTok. But then I'll get that little notification that says it's been 45 minutes that you've been scrolling. And I'm like, it's been 45 minutes. Like, I feel like I've just been here for 10. And so when I calculated the 168 hours, I was spending multiple hours a day on TikTok. Now, part of my job is doing research. So there's some research in there, but not that much. I mean, let me get real with myself here, right? And so because I was spending that kind of time, yet family, friends is 10 of importance to me. but I was only spending 1, maybe 2 hours a week with them, then that means I need to take some of that time from social media and give it to my hobbies, family, and physical health, because those were the 3 areas in my chart where I saw the biggest gap. So then my action is that I'm going to do a coffee or a meal out of my house with a family member or friend once a week. And it's just scheduling that and making sure that I'm connecting with one of those people. I want to sign up for a dance class or pickleball because I want to move my body, but in a fun, creative way with other people. And then I want to read. Reading for me is a hobby. It fills me up. I just don't make time for it. So 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes, very low commitment here daily. And then I love writing. And that's something that I'm really pulled to do is to write books. And it's also sort of therapeutic for me, but I'm barely spending any time writing. I'll write my journal, but that's about it. So for me, I want to write 2 hours a week, but build up to 2 hours a day within 3 months. And then in this article, it talks about setting up something to celebrate that you've actually done this. And so in 3 months, if I've done all these things, Dustin and I are going to take a weekend trip and we're going to celebrate this progress and making sure that I have something like when we have something to look forward to, there's actually studies that have been done that your happiness actually comes from the anticipation of something versus the actual thing. The Happiness Project by Gretchen, I forget her last name, is a good book that breaks this down. And so I love this by saying, okay, in 3 months on the calendar, here's where we're going, and this is what needs to happen. And then every week, 15 minutes, I just got to check in and make sure I'm doing these things. So this I found to just be incredibly eye-opening, helpful, great time of year to be doing this. And a question that I ask myself a lot, especially when I invest in myself, but is what if I continue to live my life the way that I have right now, exactly how it is right now? What will change? Because we'll go to these things. We'll listen, we'll feel inspired. You're going to go back to your to-do list, you're going to check your email, you're going to check your text, you're going to get back to work, you're going to do all the things. And then we just go back to what we know, what's comfortable, and nothing changes. Because comfort is easy. It's simple. We use less brain power when we know just the comfort thing that we just do all the time. We've created those habits. But if you don't change, then how is your life going to change? And this is for the people who want the change. You want something. You want to grow your business. You want to do business differently. You want more time. You want to spend more time with family. You want to do something meaningful. You want to build a big empire. You want to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you're feeling that pull to create some sort of change in your business or life, something's got to change then for you. And so think about that question, implement change. That's how we create the transformation. Part of that article comes with this, one sheet that you could print off. Here's a QR code. We'll also include links to it. But coming back to this, schedule in time this week to create the change, do the work, get perspective on your life, and anything you want to share. I would love to hear it because I love this stuff. And you won't know or find your purpose until or your next steps of just how to get where you want to go until you get into action, like we talked about earlier. And so that's exactly what tomorrow is going to be about. Some steps to help you jump into action, create the momentum, things that I've seen work for myself as well as our retailers. And I will see you guys tomorrow. So let me just stop sharing here. And I was checking. I don't think we have any comments over here, but thank you if you're here live with me, joining me on this Monday morning. And take action, do the work. We talked about your word of the year. We talked about your SMART goals. Just even write down one before tomorrow and then going through that article this week. And then I hope to see you tomorrow on day 2. And that's it, guys. Have a great rest of your day.